any psychologist and genealogist would tell you that when you dehumanize things, the first thing you do is you change their name.
Yep.
Just like us.
Names have power.
We weren't human. We were not in this country humans. We were not a black man even.
You're livestock.
We were property. You were called slave. You were a black slave. Like literally that was your noun. So, but what that allowed people to do is to disconnect emotionally and morally from the decision that they were making.
Yep.
Call a spade, like you said.
Call a spade.
Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing.
Peep the game.
Right. And literally, it's the dehumanization, because what was the word that was chosen in alternative? Y'all didn't say angel. Y'all didn't say my unborn unicorn. No, it wasn't none of that. No. It was parasite. Why did you choose that? Because you wanted to give it more of an excuse to treat it less like a human. Welcome, everybody. You already know who it is. It's your boy, King Dez. This is Chocolate Espresso Podcast, and I got the one, the only, the main guy, my guy.
Yo, it's New Air with a flow chill fancy. I ain't too picky.
Let's get into it. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Man, let's talk about life.
Let's
talk about life. Now, you already know my stance. In the broader sense, it's about abortions, but we're going to start there because you got to start at the beginning, right?
Right.
The very beginning of the process. Now, I have a very firm belief, and I don't think I'll be unconvinced otherwise. And my only sole argument when it comes to it is when people do the exact thing that is necessary to create life.
Yes.
It's life. If we found 2 cells multiplying on Mars, there would be nothing but headlines. We found life on Mars. We're not alone. We would be ecstatic. We'd be like, oh my God, there's life. But the moment those 2 same cells are in a body, that's nothing. That's just a clump of cells. That's fine. Okay. But you did the exact thing necessary for those exact clump of cells to create more clumps of cells, and then at 9 months later, it's funny to me. That's funny to me, right? And then, again, there's something that leads up to what we're talking about. But I'm just like, that's my firm stance on it. I believe that those clumps of cells are life, right? Now, I also take a very firm stance on, I don't believe any other human being has a legitimate right to tell another human being what they can or can't do.
Right.
So,
free will, free
reign. I absolutely.
If you have the right to do something, a person who's dealing with the consequence has the right to opt out.
Exactly. Like, I say leave people to their own devices. I don't have to agree with anything you're doing. And I don't. Right? But I'm not going to sugarcoat I'm not going to not call the spade, a duck, a cow, a cow. Like, that is what you, like, come on.
That's what it is. That's what the destination is.
Now, people would say, like, well, that wasn't my intent. You intended to do the exact thing necessary to create life.
Here's the thing.
Come on.
Here's the thing. That's not my intention. Right? So,
does it count? That wasn't my intention. Does it count?
Right.
Okay, well, you didn't intend to drive the car off the cliff, but you aimed right for the cliff.
And you pressed the gas.
Right. No brake.
Right. Now, you could have had a jetpack strapped to the car.
You could have a parachute.
And your intention was not to fall to your death.
But you did.
You did. And the consequences that I think where the conversation gets into a problem where it's a lack of accountability. It's a conversation of consequences, which is also ironically, and I don't think this is a coincidence, the same problem we're having with these kids and them not being parented in tablet children. They have a problem with consequences.
Tablet babies.
Yeah. Everybody nowadays has a problem with getting what they deserve. They do a lot of mess, do a lot of trifling stuff, and they're trying to get out of it. If you did everything in your power to make this happen and it happens, you got what you deserve. You worked hard for it.
But that wasn't the intent.
Why would I strip you of your reward?
Let's talk about intent, though. We have to talk about intent because we can't get to the later part.
I want to take this. When a racist person is being racist and they didn't intend to, is it still racism?
What? How? What?
Exactly how? That doesn't make any sense.
He's racist, but he wasn't trying to be racist.
He wasn't trying to be. Like, come on now. Like, and that's just a lighthearted argument. That's not like bar for bar.
Can somebody a
but
part
still.
of the KKK be racist? Maybe they just the guy that cooks the chicken. You know, maybe he never says anything. He just, do you want me to flip it?
Like,
you know, he's flipping steaks or something. You're like, he doesn't do any. He doesn't wear any of the stuff.
Right.
He's just a cook. I mean, can he be racist?
He
Maybe
just cooks.
not. That's
What
not-
if
just
he was
wants the money.
What if he was a failing chef and the KKK was the only people who were willing to pay him?
Hey, that's my only thing. Nah. He took me out with that one. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how that pans out.
He's like, I don't know what that goes for.
I'm shook. That got me. Not many times on this pod. You had me speechless.
It's crazy.
I think it's the intent, and like you said, it's the intent behind that with the accountability that's affecting a lot of this. I mean, when you give them a store's worth of ways to avoid what's not supposed to happen.
I think
come on.
There's like they said there's at least 70 or 80 over the counter. Like you can just go and get it. Prescriptions, devices, things to literally prevent this. But we also know that the number one prevention method is not doing it. But you can't tell these people that.
There's 100%
They will never
fail-safe.
accept that.
There's a 100% fail-safe that will never end in pregnancy. You know what that is?
Not do it.
Just not do it.
You could just not do it.
But why would I do that? Because people are going to do what they're going to do. Okay, but hear me out. Then why are you acting brand new
when the consequence that arise from it? Right?
So that's my whole thing, right? Because this is the foundation of the argument that's coming up, right? This is the whole issues that we're facing, and now we got a president that's like attacking that, and you had one party that was like, no, we're gonna go after all of it, and then you have a lot of individuals.
There was partials, and then there was like no all together. It was a whole mess.
Like I said, my firm belief that is in tangent, but will trump it in one sense of the word. I don't believe any human being has another right to tell someone else what they can and can't do.
Right.
But again,
it can come and you could say, no, thank you, I want to opt out.
Right. My catch-22 with that is, though, call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
Like, don't sit here and play games about the situation.
Let's be honest. The only reason why we're changing the words is because any psychologist and genealogist would tell you that when you dehumanize things, the first thing you do is you change their name.
Yep.
Just like us.
Names have power.
We weren't human. We were not in this country humans. We were not a black man even.
You're livestock.
We were property. You were called slave. You were a black slave. Like literally that was your noun. So but what that allowed people to do is to disconnect emotionally and morally from the decision that they were making.
Yep.
Call a spade, like you said.
Call a spade.
Know what you're doing. Know what you're doing.
Peep the game.
Right. And literally, it's the dehumanization, because what was the word that was chosen in alternative? Y'all didn't say angel. Y'all didn't say my unborn unicorn. No, it wasn't none of that. No. It was parasite. Why did you choose that? Because you wanted to give it more of an excuse to treat it less like a human.
The mental hurdles you have to go through so you can sleep at night. And there are some people who are just so disconnected from it that they really just don't care. Like, okay.
They don't just don't do it. They motivate other people to do it.
Right. But you see what I said? The opener to my whole thing was, if we found 2 cells on Mars that were not related to Earth and they were multiplying, we would say we found life on Mars. Yep. But let that same process be here in a human body. It's just a clump of cells. Come on, like you said, you're dehumanizing this. You're trying to
you can get an excuse.
Like, and that's why, like, when I see the comment sections, because I watched a short where it was a doctor. It was from SVU. I guess it was an episode where a family did not want their child who passed away on the operating table to have their organs harvested and then given to children that, you know, on the moment they really needed it. That we call that the donors list or something.
Yeah, donors list.
So it's essentially, it was an illegal practice what the doctor did, because she circumvented the parents and did it anyway. And it's a show. That's all it was, just writing. Right. But in the comment section in the shorts, everybody switched it to abortions, and I was just like, man, that's not the same. But they pivoted.
Yes.
But it sparked the conversation about it, and I was like, but I'm reading people's like the mental hurdles they're going through to just denounce or just to say like, no, that's not a baby, it's not human, or it's not sentient. And I'm like, okay, well, is half the cells in your body sentient? Like, you're a collection of multiple things. Like, stop pretending. Like, come on, like, call a spade and just keep it pushing. Like, just say I don't care. I would respect somebody that just flat out says I don't care.
Because the way humans operate, especially in this generation, are so selfish-minded, right?
I would say this societal, like this century, is societal
very
group, like the mental
very much,
hurdles. Yeah,
very much dog-eat-dog world. Like, it's very vicious. It's very vicious now. I think it's more vicious than it ever was. Like, people really do not care for each other right now. And there's no surprise that that's spilled over to the innocent, the children, right? But then when in these same situations, when someone's vegetable on their bed, they still say he, she, they do everything without even their consent. Sometimes the family, if they didn't have a no resuscitate rule written up, the family would take it upon themselves to make sure that you live no matter what, even if you want to go away, even if it is painful.
Yeah,
because that's what they want. So, but you don't sit there and call that person non-human. You don't say, this parasite sucking up all this money from my bank account. Like, you know what I'm saying?
This 10K.
This 10K.
And
right?
one day.
Like, what? So, but it's because people are selfish, right? I'm doing what I want to do to preserve me and what I want to do.
Well, they were doing what they wanted to do 9 months ago.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You were doing what you wanted to do 9 months ago, which led to a consequence that you earned.
Yeah.
You earned
it.
If you keep playing with a fiery stove with a metal in your hand, and people are like, hey, I know you might be getting some stimulation, some fun out of this. You're seeing sparks fly up off the stove. It's an electric stove. You're smacking it with aluminum. You might feel cool right now.
Oh, but you're playing a dangerous game.
Like, once that thing heats up, you might sear your hand. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a very painful experience. And then it happens, and you're like, no, I don't want to deal with that, though. It's like, it's not if you want to.
But here's the thing.
You made that decision.
Keep that and
the consequence.
Energy, right? Keep that same energy past 9 months. You never wanted this. You never cared for it. And then now you're told, like, oh, when it comes, it's like a switch. You know, you're going to give it all the love. You're going to care for it.
You know how many times I heard that?
All the things you said growing up, I'll never do that. I'll never do that. So now you're like, okay, I'm expecting it's going to be fine. And then they grow up to a certain age where they could have an iPad in their hand, and you tired. Let me tell you what this nice elderly lady told me. She asked me how old I was. I said how old I was. And we were having a nice little pleasant conversation. Yeah, I do my research when I do these episodes. So I'm coming out here just saying anything. I am trying to level up this podcast. I'm telling you, this lady, bless her heart, she's a nurse at Mayo Clinic.
Oh, okay.
The one out in Minneapolis. That's all I'm going to say. I kid you not. She had 7 kids. 7 kids, right? And she asked me how energetic I was as a child. Because I told her about the time the tree caught on fire when I'm standing at the bus stop and my mom still made me go to school. Right? Thunderstorm type stuff. That's my generation.
Right.
We didn't get snow days.
There was no snow days.
We didn't get days off. We were out there. If there
was a snow day, you couldn't physically open your door to leave to school. That's why.
Them buses literally couldn't make it through the streets. And even then they tried.
Yeah, they were skidding. They were skidding past.
And if you were the unfortunate one that made it, you realize looking around that half the teachers ain't here.
No.
Most of the student body ain't here,
Nope.
but for some reason you still here because they didn't call it in time. Think about that. That's my generation.
I think there was only one time they let me call my mom because there was so many people not at school, and my mom still was like, "I'm at work.
I'm working, and he needs to go to work.
You need to go to school." And I was like, "All right." Because what am I going to do? What am I going to do at home? Like
nothing. So let that sink in, right? So that's where we were. She asked me, how old I was, how energetic, because I told her about the whole I had to go to school in a thunderstorm situation, and she was like, "That's because you were probably full of energy and your mother needed a break." My mother stayed at home. She was a stay-at-home mom, right? My dad worked. My mom was mainly at home. She had her jobs and stuff, but for the most part, she was at home. So
she was functioning out the house.
So the lady was telling me, like, yeah, no, you need to go out the house. You need to do something. But I was an outdoors kid. I bicycled. I had friends. We did stuff. I was energetic. She wasn't wrong. She was not wrong. How many moms are running around doing that by themselves? So, yeah, they tired. But also think about it. You weren't planned. I'm not saying you weren't planned.
No.
But you weren't planned.
Actually, I don't think I was either. But I just spoke to my biological dad and my mom, and I'm not gonna say this because I don't want him to catch a case. But I don't think I was supposed to. I don't think I was supposed to be here.
That's real though.
Yeah, it's real.
That's real. And a lot of these children, they weren't planned.
Nope.
But you know what it is? They were planned. You weren't a conscious thought or assumption in the moment of them planning to do what they were doing. When they planned to do what they did, they were actively planning to potentially have a child. They were agreeing.
Yeah.
There was a handshake, right?
Yep.
Majority of people who have children today, I'm gonna say 82. I'm 80. I'm gonna say 80. I always want to give 20. Now I'll say 80% of you were planned. You just weren't intended to be the end of the plan. You weren't the goal. You weren't planned, but you weren't the goal. That's a reality.
They were doing everything to make you, but they was trying to snuff you out the oven. Let's just put it that way.
That is a real false reality. It's a genuine reality, but it's false because nobody wants to admit to that. You did the exact, like I said, I'm always going to say,
exact thing.
You did the exact thing necessary for you to exist.
To get this outcome.
Right? No matter how many people want to circumvent it, being like, yo, I went over the counter and bought 82 different ways to avoid this. It don't matter. You're using tools to avoid the inevitable outcome of it, but you're doing the exact thing necessary to do it. That's like saying, you know what? I want to build a house, but I don't want to live in it. But you built the house.
But you went through all that work to build a house.
Right. Like, you ain't got to live in it. Fine. But you built the house. So everybody else looking over like, hey, they're building a house. You can't be like, no, I'm not building a house. We all see you built a house. Like,
we
what
all
do you
see
mean?
you build the house.
Your house look like everybody else's house on the block. Stop. What do you mean? You know what I'm saying?
You got an extra two-car garage.
Now, whether or not you're gonna have a white picket fence, a golden retriever, and a spouse with a child is a whole nother story.
That's up for discussion, like how it goes.
But don't pretend like you ain't sit there and build this house. You feel me? Like, and that's the problem.
Right.
So now you gonna give that kid that tablet because you tired.
Right.
Who's helping you?
Right.
Who's pushing you? If you didn't have those resources in your own home, how do you know to give those resources out? So what's easier? Give them a tablet or read a book about how to be a better parent.
Ooh. But see, also, I want to go on another tangent about accountability, right? These people, it's like, and me and my lady have talked about this as well. The worst people love to give themselves kids. They love to have 5-6 kids and they know they ain't got no business having a child. They want to have a child like a plaything, like an accessory. Yep. And we're talking about this too. Like, a lot of people are using their own children as property. Like they are sitting their unhealthy selves on that couch. The remote is 2 feet away from them.
Oh man!
Hey, grab me the remote. Go grab me a beer at the refrigerator. Go and get out my face.
Don't get out of here. You already know what you did.
And they will yell at you about how they're the best parent in the world, doing the bare minimum. Also, I've come to realize that it's apparent that not every parent's a parent. So if you are not fit to be a parent, it's your job to take responsibility for your actions and not.
I'm having the worst sinus issues right now.
Shoot, because no, there's no, like, I mean, I don't have no young me's running around here, okay? No young me's running around here. But I will. And guess what? planned, intentional. And I'm taking responsibility for the actions that it takes to make that happen and be like, okay, if something comes out of this, this is where I stand.
You know what, though? That's a conversation about courting. That's a conversation about dating with a purpose and not out here having fun. That's
y'all need to tell us if y'all want a dating episode. We will give you these steps on how to acquire a man with the intentions to be with you, to be committed, or to acquire a woman that has the intentions to be with you and be committed, and how to do it. The thing is, you may already know the answer for half of them. And second, you don't want to do that because that's not as fun, and you don't get to get these your personal physical grudges off.
Back to the story. You really blow grab me. It blows my mind because I'm watching these children grow up.
Ooh.
And they're never actually growing up. And I'm looking back because like I'm almost 30. You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard to believe because like yesterday I was in high school. It feels before you're 40, I swear time flies. That's what somebody else told me. Before you're 40, trust me, time is gonna fly, and you're gonna look back and you'll be like, "Dang, it was like yesterday." Yeah. And there ain't wrong. And the older you get, the easier that time starts to really fly. Mm-hmm. When you're younger, it can't go faster. It can't go any faster. You like, I want to be older. I want to be older. I want to be older.
I want to be done with the day. I want to be done with the week. I want to be done with this. I want to be done with the month. I want to be done with the semester. I want to be done with here, and then it's gone.
And it's really crazy. So I'm telling you, like, I'm looking at these kids and I'm like, man, these kids got kids. And I'm looking at their hands like, you ain't got no ring, you ain't got nothing going on. Like, and then they tell you not to judge, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna judge a little bit because you don't realize you're about to struggle. I ain't never met a single mom that was like, yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah, I have, but they're lying.
They're absolutely lying.
They're lying. It would be like, I bet the proud single mom mantra, and they're almost narcissists. And it's like,
it's a given. It's almost a given.
It's like, oh, I did this all on myself. And then you check the background and it's like they didn't cuss out their sister to babysit their kids or their mama, or they're just bringing the man in and out the house with the kid there, which is way worse. It is like, or you're keeping your kid away, which I have met this one. This is definitely like the more church one. I hate to throw y'all on the bus, but I've seen it there. You try to keep your kid like they're the biggest secret in the world from the fact that you're talking to somebody, and then
that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's like that. You
disclose that immediately.
That's Wayne. The one who told me that was like, if there was a lady that she talked to you, she didn't let you have kids, and she popped up with 4 of them or something.
Oh, was that episode we did? Oh my god, that episode.
that date, what you doing? I'm like, I'm leaving because you lied to me.
Yeah,
you lied to me.
And here's the thing, like, I wouldn't mind if I was older.
Right.
First of all, if I had a child already,
right,
I would be completely indifferent to dating somebody with children already.
People with children don't want to date.
No, they don't.
They make it a rule. Like, I've talked to them. They're like,
they want a baby with you. They don't want you to bring another one with them.
Yep. But then also, I was talking to my lady too about why women are so like that and why that's such a big thing and why people are like that. Because y'all are not disciplined enough to be single parents anyway. Y'all do use that baby to try to get some pum pum in, and then end up with another baby. Like, that is crazy.
Hold on.
To come out with another baby with a person you know you don't like or love. That is wild.
Diabolical.
That is wild.
That's diabolical to say. I want to go back. I want to argue against that. Like, I want to say, I have to say, statistically though, children are better off with the male than they are their counterparts. In the grand scheme,
there was a statistic about that.
In the grand scheme of the 18 years of a child's life and their development, a lot of the issues that come from the male side are nowhere near as dramatic and life, I guess, destroying as it is from the lady side. Mm-hmm. A lot of people who are in prison are coming from single moms. They're not coming from single father homes. You also have a lot of children that were pregnant under the age of 25 and also still reported on the tax or federally as a single home, that's also not coming from the father side. That's coming from the single mother side as well. Now, when you ask how do you track these things, you can just look at the federal reports. They talk about this.
The Department of Revenue reports.
And they also report those things too. So IRS reports these things.
Yep.
It's like...
Because you can't hide a kid.
You can't hide a kid.
At some point, they need the flu shot. You know what I'm saying? You got to go. There's a medical record. You got to do stuff. You got to keep track. Or you're not adequately taking care of your kid, which means to CPS, take your kid from you, right? So in a kind of crazy way, through the government doing its job, it forces you to be responsible or supposed to.
Yeah. It's wild to me because, like I said, in the grand scheme of everything, people are going out, having their little fun.
Yeah.
Intending to create life without the intent behind it. Right. And then it happens. And now, as I would say, because now we're getting to the sole purpose of this whole episode. What bothers me about this the most, and why I say this, is because it to me it pisses me off, or it's really frustrating, because when you see a woman that's risking their life to birth a child, because that's exactly what it is. No matter how advanced we are today, right now, and probably for the next 5 years,
no matter how healthy a woman is, it is a life. It's a life challenge. Literally,
it's a challenge. You could be a healthy person. You could be working out. You could be the healthiest fit person. And everything, and prime
keep your
health
BMI
to have a child
according to the ideal BMI weight.
And you just don't stop bleeding right when the child comes out.
Yep, and that could be it.
Everything goes awry. Like, you are risking your life. Why would you not want to risk your life for the right person next to you? To have the right person next to you.
Right.
I don't understand. Like, I will never comprehend
I believe
that.
in something called the miracle statistic. The miracle statistic is when you do things a certain way, it increases your chance or luck of a better or even freak occurrence happening. So some people call it karma, some people call it miracle, call it whatever you want. It's actually starting to get placed as a statistic that good things happen to good people and people who think out a process.
Right.
Take with that what you will.
I just... It bothers me so much because, and like I said, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna have their little fun.
But just be honest about it. But why are you lying? Why are you playing why are you false advertising? I think that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people not taking responsibility for their actions, not being honest for who they are. I respect killers because at least they say they do it.
At least they'll own up to it. At least like, the serial murderers will own up to it.
And like I respect gold diggers who are honest, because it's like they know what they're in it for. You know what they're in it for, and either you're gonna partake or you're not. You're gonna keep it pushing. It's I'm such a good woman, you trash, or I'm such a good dude, and you know that you're getting every female pregnant that you possibly can. But wants to be dad of the year.
It's a two-way street.
Go slip on ice.
It's a two-way street. Think about that. It's a two-way street, because you can have a lady that says, like, I'm out here having fun, I'll never have a kid, and if I end up pregnant, I'm gonna get rid of said child. I'll be like, okay, at least if you want a kid, and you want to take that risk with any and everybody you doing this with, okay. Well, then if she flat out told you, I'm not gonna pull this child to term, why are you fooling with her? Because now you're gonna feel some sort of way. Or the latter is going to happen and she just won't tell you it happened. But either way, leave her alone.
Also, these people be going to appointments secretly.
Oh, don't even get me. Don't even start on that one.
There are married women that are going to appointments.
Yep. But you know what, though? I feel like if you're married and you're doing that, I think that speaks volumes about your marriage more than anything.
Forget about being a parent. There's clearly, that speaks, like you said, that screams volumes where you stay in right now in your own marriage. And I'm
totally more willing to even say, like, hey, I feel like if a woman who is in a marriage is doing that behind their husband's back, it's either one of two reasons, maybe three. And I will throw you a bone. I will say, if I'll personally feel like,
I'll be like, all right, what's up?
Like, what is you, like, is it you an abusive relationship of some sort? Because why would you not do? Or maybe you realize you're getting a divorce because there's other bigger things going on
under the horrible case that you're forced, or you know what I'm saying.
But the third option being you're just crazy, right? Like that's crazy, and I think that's an extremely small amount of them in that situation.
I actually watched a show. I think it was called Evil Lives Here, or something like that.
Why does that sound so familiar?
And because my girl, she loves these true crimes, right? And one of them was a lady. She married a guy, and she kept on yeeking the baby. Like, she would carry the baby to term, give birth to it, and yeek the baby. And it was like, oh, you a demon. Like,
oh, no.
You're like, so, y'all.
How'd she not get caught sooner? I'm just trying to figure that one out.
Because
the way she did it made it look like it was a natural...
like
or something.
A natural miscarriage,
but
like at the last moment, which is like, so then where's the body? But couldn't find it. But that's because she.
Okay,
yeah.
I got it. Okay, I just and like
people, man,
it gives me a brain fart because, like I said, people gonna do what they're gonna do,
right?
And I don't believe
the healthy answer is not. It's the unfun one. It's the one that they all complain on. It's the one that they don't want to do.
It's the one they don't. But
like it's like if you don't do it, you don't have to deal with that consequence.
But here's the thing: like, if you're gonna deal with the consequence, deal with the consequence with somebody who's actually gonna be there for you.
Right.
You know, or deal with it with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then now the excuse across the table is going to be, well, they can lie. They're going to do this. They're going to. Okay, well, again, why are you fooling around with somebody in this amount of time when you can spend this amount of time to know them
really
and make
think
them...
parental waivers need to be a thing. Parental
That's
waivers.
Crazy.
Parental waivers.
We spoke about that once, like a couple of years ago. I'll start wrapping this one up, but. Remember what I said? I said, how many people would actually commit to doing anything with somebody if the contract was there? And the contract said, if a child comes out of it, either I'm going to pay you $150K today. Today. And if I pay you, I reserve the right to see my child, and I retain 50-50 custody, but you get full money. And you do whatever you want. Like, let's say it's child support up to the age of like 16 or something like that.
Yep.
At
whatever,
I don't know, like $250 or $300 a month or whatever. But factor that in, 18 months, I'll give you the full cash. I get 50-50 custody, and you do not reserve the right to say no for me ever seeing my child. Some people would be like, okay, some people might take that. It's a lot of money right off the bat. You get that right now. Second option would be, I will pay child support, and I get 50-50 custody. No ifs, ands, or buts. Right. You can't argue that. You can't take me back to court.
Because it's still your body, your choice, but I need to, I have the right to opt in or opt out.
Right. The third option, I relinquish any and all rights, and you cannot pursue me for anything.
Not child support, not even a relationship with a child.
But that also means I can't go after you and have any relationship with the child.
Yep. If the child reached out to me at 18, that would be their choice because I can't come in contact with you.
Hey, but you'll be super mom.
You'll be super wrong
because
you got this all on your own.
Yay.
Or whoever your boyfriend is.
How many people would get up and walk out the door? Because now the consequences hit them right in the face.
The consequences hit them right in the face. And here's the thing. Because there's a lot of dysfunctional people, they would literally sit there and they would argue. They would argue all night.
They would want to change
They wouldn't even do it. They wouldn't take their clothes off. They would be half naked, being like, nah, but see, the way I feel about little Tony's 16th birthday, but it might be saving lives. You know, it might ultimately save his lives because the thing is the consequence. Take your consequence. You can either be there or you cannot. The whole wishy-washy. What I dislike is people, and what's upsetting me is like these are our new managers now. These are our new teachers now. These are the people in power, which makes it even worse. Everybody wants to be able to do mess and then be able to walk away from it the next day like it's clean. Like how we hate billionaires for doing the same thing. Got whole trauma islands all out here doing all this dirty stuff. And they're like, hey, but I helped make the xylophone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're like, no, you need to be held accountable for the moral and ethical destructive behavior that you have displayed. Because you should be a person of character. Like we all should be people of character. So don't sit here, cry wolf to me. But every person who does that has somebody they dislike for one ethical reason or another. I don't like my grandma, my auntie, my mama, my daddy, my cousin, my uncle, my brother, my sibling, my boss, my coworker, my ex-boyfriend, because they did something to me morally deprecating. But then you get to give yourself a pass. No, I feel like everybody needs consequences.
Everybody needs consequences.
Bring it back. Even if, and if you are lucky enough to not get a full consequence, you still deserve partial consequence. I'm a firm believer in that. Like partial consequence, like very partial consequence. Not because certain things are mistakes and then certain things are bad decisions. I think you can make a mistake when you are taking the best of your knowledge and making the best decision, and an outcome that wasn't properly calculated comes out. Y'all are going to try to use that for this specific situation. No. When you take your clothes off and you do the 1 plus the 2 equals 3 because another one of you and me comes out, that is intentional. That was a wrong decision. It's not a mistake. You didn't slip up 1,000 pumps. That's not how that worked. So
I think, you know what though? And so do you think it's fair if somebody goes out, they fool around and they find out that there's now going to be a third, right? Could she be mad if the guy is like, I don't care, is completely indifferent? If he never had that conversation with him, if he never had that conversation with her, if nobody talked about this,
and nobody talked about
and
it,
the first time this ever comes up is,
and I'm assuming that this is FWB is friends with benefits, because that's typically where culture is having it today, right? The whole stereotype is that this is fun with bonuses.
Oh, you got a bonus, all right.
You got a bonus, right? So it's like you can't be mad, or if that was happening, and then the girl is like, whatever. And the guy's like, oh, but I want a little mini me. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can't be mad at the person who respected it for what it was. Yep. Like y'all, like they knew what you approached them, and y'all was like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this thing for this destination. Oh, there's more to that. I don't want the more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Because I think was there a case? I think there was a case where it was like I think it was a guy that sued the girl for getting rid of the kid.
I think that's fair.
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened.
Fair.
He tried to sue her because it's like, oh, I found out and I didn't even want to be with her. I just wanted 50-50 custody and I wanted to take care of my responsibility. And so he was like saying it nobly, but then she was like, I'm running the streets.
Nah, I'm having fun. And like, no, you know what though? And the reason why I think that's fair and why this is where it gets so confusing probably to a lot of people. But again, I have to preface this with, I don't believe any human being has a right to tell another human being what they can and can't do with their body. I also believe at that point though, call a spade a spade. So I don't think it's fair for a guy, and you've seen those videos too, where they be like, "Oh, if a woman doesn't want the child, they reserve the right to get rid of it," and they go like, "Yeah." But if the guy wants the child and she gets rid of it, does he have a say? And they're like, "No." Well, okay, for obvious terms, like because it's her body and choice.
If you want to get rid of it, give it to me.
But when they've been asked, so why is it fair for him to say, I don't want a child, and made that clear before you guys fooled around, and then you end up having a child, why is it fair for you to go after him and take his resources to essentially fund your choice at that point? And they look at you and they go, because that's just how it is.
Right. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. And I think society's learned now over the last 50 years that women aren't innate mothers. That stereotype is now being shot down.
It has to be.
Because these women are having kids and raising horrible children in horrible conditions.
If they loved their kids, these kids wouldn't be like that.
Right.
You don't love them.
And so now more, as the uproar and men have been speaking out about people who are good fathers and things like that are speaking out towards this, because the system just favored the woman because of the stereotype of sexism, saying that women are nurturers and women are good mothers. And now, especially these true crime shows, these women are dangerous.
No, those women are
very dangerous.
Demons in disguise.
Very dangerous. And now there's a conversation going on. Actually, since this presidency, I don't know if you've heard about it, but they want to, within the next 20 years now, reframe the entire parental perception legally.
As they should.
And I do think they should.
It needed to be done 20 years ago.
It did.
At the minimum. We've gotten to the point in our society where we
Men are
aware.
educated now.
Right. We're aware. We see the issues, and continuing to go down the path we're currently on will not invoke change.
No.
And I think whatever president, whatever political background or belief system that they follow in, whether it be religious or not, it doesn't matter. This is an unbiased concern when it comes to the safety and the well-being of the people.
Right.
When you have homes that are not really a home. When you have parents or parent, that is not parenting.
Right.
That is not a healthy. That's not really a healthy home. You run into issues and you run into safety concerns. What parent? And this is another conversation I had, because this all plays a role into it. When you had somebody who wasn't expecting a kid, it wasn't planned, and they never really cared to have it in the first place. Now they have to force themselves to try to learn how to be a parent, learn to love, and all sorts of stuff. I've watched too many parents who are with their child, and they're really short because they don't have the patience. They don't have the tools to really
deal with a child.
To deal with the child.
And that doesn't come easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can have multiple kids and still never get it. Like, you could raise all of them up to adulthood and still never get it.
But they're all different kids, though. They're not the same kid.
Right. There's also that thing. People don't understand that your parenting method doesn't mean it's the right parenting method for the child. See, you're dealing with another human being. Like you said, call a spade a spade. This is another human being. You have to adapt to the functionality of this child's brain.
Yep.
You might have one child, ADHD as heck. You know that you need to respond with a clear answer 10 seconds after something happens. And then they'll come back to you if they need further understanding.
Yep.
And then the other kid, you need to give them an hour to calm down. They need to go in their room, cry, whatever, and then you guide them to rehabilitation.
You're forgetting a very key factor in any of this. Healthier, like figuring out how your children are. You need the time and the energy for that. And when you're by yourself, you're too busy
keeping two jobs.
You're trying to put food and keep a roof over their head. You're too busy making sure that so-and-so pays their child support payments. You're too busy trying to make sure you can still trying to have your fun because you had this kid at a time in your life where you should be out here having fun in a very safe way and not having fun to make another baby.
Yep.
You feel me? Like, you too busy doing all this other stuff because you're still your own human being.
Yep.
So you don't have the time.
Yep.
So now you're just trying to fit this other thing, this child, into all of this. This is why I'm like, wouldn't it make so much more sense to try to figure that out with somebody else who can, I mean, you could be pissed. She could be pissed, but at least you might be like, hey, this isn't working. Let's try something else.
Right.
But if you by yourself, you too busy stuck here in this emotion for too long before you get to that point. You could have got there faster.
That's what we're seeing is that these single parents, man or woman, these kids are coming out as tablet kids because that gives them peace.
Yep.
That they're not coming out tablet kids because they don't listen. They're not listening because they're tablet kids, and they're tablet kids because the parent can't handle this because they're overwhelmed.
Yep. They don't have the social, what do you call that? They don't have, I'm going to play it like again. They don't have the bar or the skill set of being social or understanding social cues and all this other stuff. There's a disassociation between our society, these children, and reality.
No.
Like, it really breaks my heart because, like I said, you got these tablet kids and then you got a growing concern in a lot of our communities. And unfortunately, the only fix is literally bringing back families and incentivizing families, and really, again, calling a spade a spade.
And that's a bigger problem too, because now when you get into that conversation, taking accountability, taking responsibility, and then finding a teammate, now you got to address all of these single-minded, selfish-minded people to let them know that everything that you've told yourself in your man's or woman's self-help red pill group to feel justified, your heavy sexism, whether it's feminism or masculinity or whatever it may be, that you're wrong and that we need to come together as a team and a true community to raise a community, because that's really what it is. These are the worst people to do that with, because these are definitely the people to be like, I'm doing whatever I want to do, because they're 17 years old at 27. They're 13 years old at 33. And that's the sad part. And the reason why they grew up so fast, because they had a dysfunctional home. They used that as an excuse to make even worse decisions, ended up with kids or a kid. And then they've used that as an excuse to never grow up.
Yep.
And now they're adults, but they're still kids. This is the biggest wave I believe I've ever seen in any generation of adult kids. We have literally gone to world wars. These people came out traumatized. And this is still the biggest group. With no war, by the way. The biggest group of grown children. we have ever seen. And they're giving horrible advice because these kids are getting access to the internet, and these grown children are online giving horrible grown children advice.
Yeah.
That's so the Chocolate Espresso podcast is here to help give guidance.
Hey, that's why they said people like Kevin Samuels blew up.
Yeah,
because they were calling Spade, whether you agreed with him or not. He had some basis to it.
Or not, he had foundation.
He had a very solid foundation.
So in order to defeat his argument, you would have to come with foundation where people were lacking.
Which, by the way, was the funniest thing ever, watching him come with their version of the foundation, which justified his foundation.
And he's like, that's exactly. He literally sat there. I feel like, everybody has his ways. There's been things that, Kevin Samuels has said that people have greatly disagreed with. And there's been times where he's greatly been agreed with. And regardless of what you've seen, he's always been very, actually awkward, whether you believe it or not, awkwardly optimistic. He's always said you could grow past this.
You can move on.
You can do better.
I'm not saying I was completely for him or against him. I'm saying he had a foundation. He had some points. And it's wild. I think a lot of these guys could, and I think there is a very I'm hitting it for the money aspect to some of them too. Whatever.
They're getting a lot of attention, so they'll they'll Logan Paul you. They'll say anything that they can to keep you tuned in and keep them paying the bills, and it's working because their bills are paid.
Yeah. But hey, don't narc on the hustle. Right. I'll give you my final thoughts. So, I truly believe that we're at the point in our society, in our day and age, where the only solution I think is ever going to work is fixating on the idea. And I say this because I want to get more into these conversations, but building more resources within communities, our community. And here's the thing: when we talk about abortions and pregnancies and stuff like that, it's a generational issue, not an ethnic issue.
Yeah, no.
Everybody's facing this in this country and all over the world. So whatever. But when I say resources for us, because I want us to focus on us. Every other community in this country does. Nothing wrong with that. There is no issues with that. But I'm saying if we had a resource center that parents could go with their children, or somebody of like young adult, like 15, 16, we're like, okay, this is probably going to be the true beginning of when this might happen to you. And start teaching them like, this is what you could do. There's multiple ways of navigating these things, especially when it comes to relationships. But if you came from a single parent household, it's hard to understand what a 2-parent household is like.
Because you've never seen it.
You've never seen it. You didn't grow up with it. And I'm not saying every 2-parent household is always going to be 10 times better. Or it's going to be rainbow.
Right.
Like, no. However,
that's a whole nother conversation. The absent parent, which is a whole nother conversation, which is what is a byproduct of what we're seeing in the single parent household, but it does get reflected in 2-parent households as well. Because raising a child is hard for even 2 people.
However, statistically wise,
it's
still better than one. Like you still don't have a lot of the people who are sitting in jail from 2-parent households.
I mean, I just feel like it makes sense. Like it just seems to me common sense. If you have 2 people if you have a line, there's 2 boulders, and you're saying you got to push this boulder to the finish line without breaking it. Okay, it's made out of glass. There's a little bit of an obstacle course. And there's one person trying to do that. I feel like it's going to be a lot easier for the 2 people to move that ball to the finish line, even if they're screwing up half the time, because you have somebody else there. That's just how the numbers work. That's why a village to raise a child is better than just a handful of people to raise a child, which is better than 2, which is better than 1. Right? So I agree on that aspect. That's why this is going to be a big conversation.
It is. And that's why I say that I think it makes sense for us to have a resource center in our community or somewhere.
And I've seen them. There's over there, West St. Paul? I think it's West St. Paul, where the taqueria is. No, East. This is East St. Paul, and it's just a resource center. It's Latino resource center, and everything around it is small businesses for Latinos. And it's like, but by the way, every other group does this.
Yeah,
every other group does this. Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. They do it. We used to have it. We got fought on it. A lot of it got burned down. We need to do it again. That's fine. We're going to do it as many times as it takes for us to get our people right.
It's trauma. We watched it happen. Now we haven't done it since. And I think that's the problem.
That's trauma, right?
I truly believe...
You know what happens if you try to do better.
This is why I think, and then my actual last thoughts, because this episode got a little long. Right. I truly do not believe in my heart of hearts, because I would also be one of the first people protecting that building if another let's say George Floyd debacle thing happens, right?
Oh yeah.
If I see a couple of thousand people come running down the block and this resource center is educating children and parents on how to be a healthier parent.
Right, it's just better for the community in general.
I will be with a couple of hundred other people protecting that resource and telling people, you want to go burn down the neighborhood, you better go to another one. But make sure it's that block over there. Don't,
because it ain't
not here. It's not this building.
Not here.
And you will know. You will know, because why would anybody who is a part of that community who's used that would ever watch it burn down like that? Those are people who are looking to do this, to remove that resource from a group of individuals. And I say that to say it won't happen in the 21st century. It won't happen today, because what you have is a group of us who are like, nah,
that's not my responsibility.
This ain't 70, 80 years ago. Like, what hill you willing to lay up on, if you catch my drift? Because that's not the same. Right. You're not flying a helicopter or an airplane over our buildings anymore and dropping that's
not happening.
That's not today. And if it does, unfortunately, there's more pew-pews than there are people here in this country. So I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people are the first ones to say that's all they got in their community. Well, we can find out when the next riot happens.
Right, we can find out. Whoever got the illegal automatic that ain't supposed to be there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, joking aside, but seriously though, it's not gonna happen in 21st. It just takes some time. Getting the people together to do it is what's stopping us. I think those of us who
are paying attention are starting to get turned off by our community that is operating in mess. And I'm starting to see a divide develop, because there was that community special where there's black people and then there's Nicaraguans, right? And that was his whole thing. His whole play was on there's an etiquette and then there is wildcats, right? And I think for us to actually get to that point, there are those of us who will be serious about it, those of us who's trying to just get in, so they're going to say whatever, they're going to play the field, whatever. And then there's those of us who are like, I'm staying bougie, hood, red, ratchet, whatever. I think we're going to divide, and unfortunately, that will be what will happen. There's going to be a group that are like, I'm used to this. I know what y'all talking about, but I don't want to uproot my trauma, because that takes work and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But there will be those of us who are like, I'm scared of us losing us, so I'm going to put the effort in.
That's no different than somebody who grew up on Section 8 housing and understanding the trauma of being watching their parents be told you're going to lose your benefits if your child, your daughter, your son continues to work at this job because they're making too much money because it's household income. So now you have to explain to your kid, hey, be brokey like the rest of us.
Yep.
Otherwise, we're going to have to move, or they're going to up our rent, and I can't afford that.
Right. And if you don't want to do that, they'll put you out.
They'll throw you out. It's no different. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same little premise. I'm stuck in the cycle, so why would I ever leave it? Right. Yeah. Well, that's why the healthier ones have to help the less healthy ones and say, listen, if I can get your dollar to stay within us, I can guarantee you will never need that again.
That will literally put fire under your butt to go further.
That's why I refuse to allow anyone to undermine that premise when I say the black community funds billion-dollar industries. Yeah. We have the money.
Right.
We just misplace it in areas that frankly could go towards betterment of us. If we really wanted to, we could. It's just starting that process and protecting it and expecting that to continue.
There needs to be the first starters, right? There's got to be the people that do it, and then we'll become an example to the others.
Yep. It's a process.
Right.
It is. And I really do want to start that process. And I've been doing my research, y'all, and I've been trying to network.
I've been working on something.
I'm hoping to get this guy. He's been doing farms. Episode coming in season 3. Little micro farms. He gets a trailer, like a shipping container, and it's a small farm inside of it with LED lights. It's hydroponics, so there's water system and everything. You can control it from an app on a phone or on a laptop, and he can grow a ton of food a month. Every week he can harvest something. It's crazy.
That's nice.
It's all money. And he's like, and he does it. He has children from schools that come in and he teaches them about farming and the little shipping container and stuff and agriculture. And he wants to say like, hey, I would love, he's trying to get these resources in minority communities to try to say like, let's have this resource be more locally sourced and available because it's healthier. There's no chemicals or anything like that. It just so happens that we're able to control the environment so well that these things can grow and thrive in such a fast pace because we're controlling that.
Control that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like most of the, I think he said like the lettuce we're getting isn't from California or something like that. And then it's on a truck for like 5 or 6 days or 4 to 5 days or something. Yep. But he's like, imagine if you can go to the store or get some lettuce at your local co-op, or if maybe you walk downstairs to your co-op because the building has a co-op and your lettuce is sourced from across the street because that like
because there's a farmer lot
right there
with all
and
the
it's
food.
Fresh. And this is like the middle of winter time. It was like 10 degrees out, like cold as crap, wind blowing, and it's nice and humid inside his little trailer because of like that. You see what I'm saying? Like it's stuff like that, like networking with these kind of people and saying like, we need to build a resource center and we need this here.
We need that resource.
Imagine if like, okay, if mom's working 2 jobs and maybe you just like high energy kid, she need her space. Your kid can go to this after school program at this resource center and he or she can learn hours on end every day because there's so much available for them to do. Right. You feel me? Like
there's so much free learning. It's like, why haven't we incorporated that into after school programs?
I'm telling you, man.
You get to pick. There's 30 things in program. Go pick. You got 30 minutes to pick. Grab your after school snack, 30 minutes to pick. Go find something you find interesting. You're going to learn about it today. Yeah. And then we're going to have you play for the rest of the time until you go home because we need you dead tired so you can go home and not stress your parents out.
That's
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not hard.
And that's what I say. Get rid of that homework so that way you can just enjoy being a kid.
Be a kid.
That's my final thoughts. I'm working on it and networking with more people and really trying to like promote these kind of resources, especially. So
yeah, I got my thing I'm working on. This is etiquette classes for men, actually. I'm not saying y'all are dirty or swines or nothing like no. This is to target all men from 60 to 6, all men. If you didn't have a father or whatever, don't matter. We're going to give you the tools, the education that we can, and a support system to help you get on your best, be your best in your best behavior. You will not be hating yourself, hating women. You'll be loving yourself and growing, and you'll be able to have that type of etiquette. So yes, I got something coming for the gentleman. Hint, hint. Don't worry. The name will drop here later this year when I get it copywritten because I don't need none of y'all taking it.
Lord knows it's hard in this this society to be a man. So, I mean, whew.
Right. It's not easy. And I think both sides are starting to, I think that's the undertone that's kind of picking up. And finally, it took long, but I think both sides are starting to realize, okay, it's not good. It's not easy to live either life. So let's make each other's lives easier. That's still very early in conversation, but it seems like y'all are starting to have that conversation, which is good.
Yeah. Let's wrap this one up.
Thank you for coming to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. It's been great talking to you about kids, family, and the community. We want to do more with you, so stay tuned. Check out this next video. Deuces.